Actually,
Dude, I
what
was
do you? Go ahead.
I spoke white truffle. Is that what you got to ask me?
Yeah, but I
I just
realized we had
told you
already
what it
said
was.
that.
Yeah,
I know.
I knew it. I knew
I
it.
get excited.
You
I knew
wasn't
you do. I was
listening.
just gonna nod.
You're like,
You were like, I already told
So
you.
you hear about that? The I was a kid. The woman who was found 40 years after her parents were murdered. 40 years. So she was in Texas. Holly Klaus. She was the baby who went missing. A baby who was missing after a murder in Texas from 40 years ago, and somehow she's popped up. Like,
Wow.
how the fuck is it? Like, where were the people who killed the parents? Like, who raised her?
Whoa. Like, holy
Like,
fuck. No, I didn't know.
how
I
did
didn't hear
40
anything
years
about
go
this.
by and they just had a baby? Some people just had a baby in Texas.
Okay, so CBS News is the headline is Holly Klaus, who went missing as a baby, found over 40 years after her parents were murdered in Texas. Go down a half second.
I just don't understand how that
Half scroll.
happened.
There you go. So a baby who has been missing since her parents were found murdered in a wooded area in Houston in 1981. It's before I was born, man. Has been found. Okay, I got to go on. Texas authorities have announced Holly Klaus, now 42, is alive and well. Klaus was about
42-year-old baby.
Yeah, 42-year-old baby found alive and well. Klaus was about a year old when her parents' bodies were found in January of 81, according to the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children. They weren't identified until They weren't identified until 2021 when a forensic genealogy firm said they were Harold Dean Klaus Jr. and Tina Gail Lynn Klaus, originally of Florida, according to Paxton's office.
What? They didn't even identify the fucking bodies for that long? Well, that's why they weren't looking for a baby.
Well, okay, first of all, who the fuck is Paxton? Okay, they tell me Paxton's office. Who the fuck is Paxton? They don't even introduce
Probably the
anyone.
county or the state. Paxton.
Okay. Horribly. Okay, horribly.
Yeah, they
fucking
didn't hear
detailed,
those out
right?
of context.
According
there,
to
but
Paxton's
wow,
office.
man.
Who's Paxton? I want to know, first of all, if she has any recollection. Where the fuck you been,
Oh,
bitch?
General Ken Paxton.
Where do you
Texas
see that?
Attorney General.
Paxton's. Okay, that's the part I overlooked.
Boom.
Thank you.
I just don't understand how fucking. I mean, yeah, she clearly had to get lost in the system, like Mace's saying over here on Twitch.
But lost in the system for sure. Yeah.
How? Like they just found a baby, and there was just a random baby, and they didn't have the parents that were dead because they didn't identify
They
them.
couldn't
They thought they
identify
just
the
left
baby.
them.
Yeah. So they probably put her in the system.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
holy
fucking crazy, bro. There's a
Because
movie
in
coming on
81,
Lifetime soon.
it's coming out. In 81, they wouldn't have had the DNA
No.
research and development. They wouldn't have had that.
Courts were denying science back then and shit. They were saying
For sure.
forensic is bullshit.
For sure. Like it wasn't until late 80s, early 90s.
I don't even think that because
DNA.
OJ fucking it wasn't even a conversation. It was just a glove. And like I remember I watched the fucking like movie documentary show, whatever, and like when they were bringing up forensics, they were like,
No. They identified. No, they had his blood. No,
I know,
they had
but they were
DNA
saying
back
it wasn't as credible. Like the DNA was
maybe.
Like
maybe.
the testing CSI shit
When was that?
So
was that 93? 91?
I'm not sure. But man, to think that there was a fucking murder 40 years ago and only like somebody was like, we'll go through the cold cases. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't like this some big like,
no,
that's got nothing
wild,
going on.
man.
Let's see what we can get through here. Check some stuff out.
Jeez.
And like, boom, holy shit, they had a baby?
They had a baby?
They find the baby? Like, that is insane, dude. And to think that like this long she's gone. I guess you never know if you're in
you wouldn't know
like that. You wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know.
What happened to your parents? They left you. And it's like, no, you were
they wouldn't know that they were murdered, right? Because they weren't identified, right? That's crazy, bro. That when you think about it. So it's like when just to kind of tie this into the tinfoil hat, which we're so good at doing, when someone like Bob Lazar says that people have attempted to erase him, and this is the guy. Yes, this is the guy connected to the Area 51 and
shit, yeah.
I was gonna say Roswell too. Is he actually Roswell is
the
alien?
I think that's New Mexico shit. So I don't
think I was literally gonna say the Roswell shit too, man.
Because we're on the same frequency, bro.
We are, man, and it's fucking scary sometimes,
somewhere
bro.
That we didn't know 30 some years ago. We were separated because the records weren't there.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I'm saying?
You're right. Separated at birth.
You know what I'm saying?
I didn't get along with my parents.
My mom doesn't have a gap like this. I don't know where the fuck it came from.
And I do. Oh.
Is this my
Wow.
fucking brother from another mother or potentially the same mother?
Perhaps the same mother?
Perhaps the
You a brother
same.
from another mother, maybe even the same mother, motherfucker? Oh, jeez.
It's
But yeah,
crazy if
no,
you think about it, man, like,
it
all of the murders, like, that's why probably there were so many serial killers back then because it's like, "Yeah, you can get away with more."
you
You
could.
know, like, these people were sick in the head, but obviously somewhat conscious enough to fucking, know that, like, "Well, shit, there's no evidence, like, there's no DNA, no face, no case." Like, nowadays, it's like, you really gotta be demented to think you're gonna do this shit 'cause you're gonna get
Get
caught.
away with it.
You're gonna get
Well,
caught.
we think that, but it's like how many cases actually get solved every or not every year, but how not there's actually a
Well,
number
dude,
to
it's
that. But I mean, like, how many don't get solved?
there's this, Jessica Haringa case here in Michigan and near me, and this dude fucking supposedly took her. Nobody's ever found her. No, like, she's still fucking gone. This guy's
Yeah,
in prison, won't admit that he did it, shot some
yep,
other chick, had pictures on his computer of her and shit, but, like, there's no evidence, like, there's no
yeah,
major
and
evidence other than
that's
that, like, it's fucking weird.
and I can't
Weird
even get
shit.
away in a Grand Theft Auto game, man.
I know, I
Like,
definitely
fuck.
can't.
Yeah,
Jesus,
yeah,
man.
it's kinda crazy, man, it's kinda crazy, and there's a lot of instances
It's
where
just
there's just no evidence, you know what I mean? So
that's
I'd be
crazy.
curious, it's like people say the world today is much crazier than it was back then, but it's like I disagree with that
We got
statement.
no proof of that.
Yeah, we have no proof. You're
We
not
have
wrong.
no evidence of that.
But it's like we some of the craziest serial killers, the craziest stories, some of the craziest things came actually out of the 70s and 80s and 90s when people think that it was better back then. You know what I mean? It's like, well, no, you just didn't hear about it. You just didn't have Google News to tell you this happened here and this happened here.
Yeah.
You don't
Every
get it?
fucking day, like,
Yeah,
that's the
every day.
I don't wanna get into the mass shooting stuff, but that's this mass shooting shit is
That's
because if
right.
anybody gets shot and there's more than one person who gets shot, it's newsworthy right now, and
Newsworthy,
so it
newsworthy.
pops up and that's the trend, that's the thing to talk about. Back then, like, you'd have 1 or 2 people, and how would they find out about it unless they
The
see
thing
that
is,
article?
sure, you didn't have well, maybe this is a horrible reference, but it's like you didn't have mass shootings back then, but we did have people like Jack the Ripper. We did have the Jeffrey Dahmers. We did have the
Jack
guys like
Ripper's way
the
back, but, like
Pictons.
well, like, if
Jack
even,
the Ripper.
like,
Is
the
that what I said?
Gacy
Yeah,
yeah, Jack
yeah,
Ripper's, like,
that's a
way
bit
back.
far back, but I'm thinking
But for
the Dahmers and the Pictons
and
and
Gacy and fucking,
all these guys are coming
Night
out of the 80s and
fucking
90s.
Crawler,
You know
dude,
what I
what's
mean?
his name? Night Stalker? Like,
There's
yeah, a
so
lot of
many.
these fucking guys, man, who,
But
like,
it's
did
like,
some real
do we
heinous
have any
shit.
anymore? Do we have
We
those
we
anymore?
haven't found them.
No, we have other things now,
Yeah,
you
we have
know?
crazy people running in and shooting some people and shit.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
fucking alarm going off saying,
Oh,
"Smoke more
oh,
weed."
smoke some
Smoke more
weed.
weed.
Right?
I'm like, "Okay,
It's
thank you, I
telling me.
will."
But yeah, that's something to think about. But
Something
40
to think
years
about.
later, man, then they finally put this woman's story together. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
dude. It's
That's
crazy.
crazy.
Almost as crazy as curing
What you got?
fucking cancer.